Good morning and welcome back to Over Easy Acres. We're a family of 6 living in southern Idaho, and this morning I want to talk to you about birds. I love birds. You know I love birds. I have outdoor birds, I have indoor birds, I have bird decorations and bird paintings. I really do like birds, but this morning they are not my friend, and they haven't been a friend since I planted my garden. So in the last couple of videos I was talking to you about planting onions, and we did have a breach in the fence, and I thought, oh, it's the prairie dogs. They're coming in and they're ravaging my onions. It turns out it's the birds. They are coming in and they're plucking them out. I have planted 150 seed sets of onions. I have replanted 150 seed sets, and I have replanted 150 seed sets. So I've really been having some struggles with them, and I wanted to share with you some ideas that I have tried, some that might work for you, and some that have not worked for me actually. So hopefully if you're struggling with birds, something in this video will help you, and then you can let me know in the comments what it was. So here we are in the garden, and everything looks pretty good in it. I did see some birds in it this morning, but my onions have not been doing well. Here is even part of the damage. They actually just plucked it out, and look, it was pretty big actually too. So this is what I've been dealing with, and even with the smaller ones, they pluck them out and then they can't even take root. Okay, so from one bird lover to another, but not bird lovers in the garden, I'm going to share with you 7 ideas that might help the birds stay away from your garden, your little seedlings. Oh, and one of you viewers told me about an 8th way, so I'll share that too. Okay, so I'll share that one first so I don't forget about it. The first idea that I was told was to make sure that I'm sprouting my peas and beans and those such things inside the house, and then when I transplant them, just, sprouting them like on a napkin or paper towel, that type of thing. When you sprout them inside the house and then you plant them, the birds are less likely to pull away a little plant or a little seedling like that than they are just the seeds themselves. They love going for seeds. They tore up all my sunflower seeds a long time ago, but anyway, they just pluck them right out of the ground. So if they're already sprouted, that's an idea. So that's one to try, one that I have not tried because it's a little later in the planting season, but one that I'm happy to try next year. So thank you for that idea. The second one is to put a feeder somewhere away from the garden, because if the birds are hungry, they're going to look for seed. And if there's seed available, they'll go to another source. Now this depends on kind of what type of bird you're dealing with and how many. We have hundreds around here, so I don't even think I could keep up with feeding them, even something inexpensive, out here. This is our first year planting out here in the country in our new house, and it's just has a learning curve for me because there's just different kinds of birds and there's too much space to keep them away. However, if you were in an apartment or in a house in the city, as we've been in the past, I think that that could work. So just put a feeder up kind of far enough away from your garden that they're not attracted to your garden, but they'll get a food source somewhere else. Another idea is a scarecrow. Now, I'll show you in a second what I had as a scarecrow, but it didn't really work. So birds are smart. My indoor birds are very smart. I have a couple lovebirds, and I'm just amazed that they know their names, they can learn tricks, and they do all that. So I give credit to outside birds as well. If you have a scarecrow and it just remains stationary, they're going to figure out that it's not really a person in the garden. So that you're going to need to move all around your garden, if that can work for you, because then they'll think that it's a person, but you can't just kind of put it in one spot and just leave it there and hope that the birds won't notice. Another idea kind of along the same line is a plastic owl. We had these in houses in the past, and I don't know, maybe it actually did help because I didn't have problems with birds. But that's something that I have not tried, but should help because owls are natural predators of birds and birds are scared of them. Now, interestingly though, we do have an owl that lives in the same tree as these birds. And we do have 2 huge hawks that live in the fields back here, and they soar and fly around all the time, and yet we still have the birds. So I'm thinking that the birds are not scared by those critters because they're too far away. So for us, that doesn't seem to be working. But it's an idea. It might work for you, so you can get a plastic owl, stick it in your garden. But again, you're going to have to move it around all the time, because if the birds start thinking that it's just an object and not actually an owl, you're going to have the same problems with the scarecrow. It won't scare anything away. Another idea that I heard is to hang pie pans, like aluminum pie pans, because the sound is disturbing to the birds. They don't like the clanging, so you'd have to have the pie pan clanging up against like the metal fencing, and hopefully you have some type of a breeze. Now you can tell out here we always have a breeze. We usually have a fairly good breeze, so that's an option. However, I will say that I have hung things around and that noise doesn't really seem to be bothering them at all. So that didn't really work for me. Another idea is a pinwheel. So you can go down probably to the dollar store, the $1.25 store for us now, and they sell pinwheels, and those are something that, you know, they flash and they twirl around. Again, you need a breeze, but that could be helpful because then it can look distracting. The birds don't like the reflective quality of that, and it makes them think that something's there that they can't really understand what it is. So that might be an option. Now I'm going to show you the first option that I did, then I'll show you two others. I don't have a scarecrow, but I brought out my white blouse and I thought the sun could only bleach it and make it nice and white. Plus we had quite the winds yesterday, so it was blowing out at a 90-degree angle, and so I thought that that kind of looked like a person. I thought it was working, but it was not working. So this is where I had hung my shirt, and it didn't work at all. It wasn't, I don't know, maybe because it wasn't a true scarecrow and it didn't have a face on it, but it did not work. And the other problem was I wasn't moving it around. So I think that didn't help at all, but I did try that one. The next idea was flashing tape, and they sell this pretty inexpensive. I think we got 50 feet for like $5 or something. And I'll turn you around and see if I can show this to you without the sun. Sun is bright, but it's nice and cool out this morning. So here's the flashing tape. We got red on one side and silver on the other. And can you hear it? So it does make somewhat of a noise, and it's reflective. So the birds, in theory, are not supposed to like that. So they won't want to land where it is. So I put this all around the garden on all of the larger posts. I've taken some of it down now. And it didn't help at all. And so I was super disappointed, and I wasn't really sure why. So then my next idea was to move the flashing tape down actually on my onions. Let me see if I still have a spot that I could show you that. Okay, so here's where I actually put the flashing tape right along the onions, and they did not care at all. I fastened this down, it still whips around, and the birds didn't care, and they repeatedly kept plucking out my chives here. So that didn't work for me. Okay, but here's the drum roll. I think we're on number 8. Are we on number 8 of ways to try to keep birds out of your garden? So number 8 has worked for me. Number 8 is deer fencing. And I have it over here. I can show you. It's super easy to work with. We got 7 by 100 foot. You see that? It's just this light netting. I think it's about a 1/2 inch square. And I ran that all along, let's see if you can see here. So all along this area, I have the deer netting. I propped it up with these bamboo sticks right here at a 45-degree angle, and I threaded it through, kind of wove it through like this, and the birds have stayed away. I mean, I even saw the birds in the garden this morning looking for stuff, but they did not bother the onions at all. And finally, after replanting and replanting 150 onions, I think I'm gonna have success. It's now been 3 days, and I will show you how big they've gotten, because before they just get plucked out as soon as I plant them. Look at these. They actually have tops to them now. So I'm super encouraged that now my little onions will be able to grow. Now this would work over anything else that you're having trouble with pests. Maybe you are having problems with deer, but the birds, like if they're starting to eat other things, different type of birds that eat other stuff in your garden, the nice thing about the netting is that it's so light. I quadruple layered mine just because I was completely nervous, but I think that was probably overkill. I don't know, but I had lost my onions so many times that I wasn't taking chances. However, you can just lay it lightly and it allows the plant to still have all the space to grow. It gets the air, it gets the sunlight, it's not inhibited from anything, and so your plants can grow great, but the birds just can't get to them. So I laid a couple, this I just flat laid over the top of my chives, and it's just flat on there. Now I'll probably have to do something about that, because as the chives want to grow up, they'll start poking through and then the birds will eat the tops of them. But I have used this in the past. I forget why I had to use it, but I just draped it over. I don't remember what I used it for, but anyway, I just draped it over the top. It's nice and it's light, and so even the most delicate type of thing like a lettuce can still grow up nicely, and then you just don't have something munching through the top of it. So anyway, I hope that these 8 ideas can help you in some way. I hope you can learn from my traumatic experience with all of this. For me, the flashing tape didn't work, the shirt didn't work, and the netting was the ticket, and it is working beautifully now. Like I said, I'm on day 3. The onions are growing up nicely. I do have that netting at a 45-degree angle with my fence so that the onions can grow up and have lots of space before I have to worry about that a bird might get the tops again. But anyway, that was the ticket for me. So if you have any great ideas, please drop them in the comments. Please let me know, let others know. It's great to share this gardening journey together. So thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.